Welcome to the Black on Shelf podcast, a podcast championing Black and brown entrepreneurs on the digital and physical shelves. I'm your host, Tanaj Ferguson. This is Black on Shelf. I usually like to start about how I'm connected to a brand, how I have learned or discovered a brand that shared here. Yours is one that many other people know of at this point. You're actually, your brand, your product is in pretty good distribution and your story has been shared. So, you know, you're one that people actually care to continue to hear about for sure and already familiar with. So welcome to the podcast, you know.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I can't wait to hear your questions, right? Because you've actually really nailed it. Like people have heard my story and kind of want to hear it, continue to hear it. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that you got some salacious questions.
Yeah, because your story is so well documented, I would say at this time, like there's a number of good podcasts you can really listen to that share the baseline of your story. I really want to build on where you are now. And we are coming and talking to you at a point where you have new news for us. You are doing some amazing things. And there's some things I don't think people know about you that I want you to expand on. So my questions will help us learn a little bit more. And I hope, you know, by the end of this, folks will really admire you as much as I do, because they now have this, you know, fuller understanding of all that you've done in your lifetime already. Right. So, you know, I will share, we were chatting before the podcast, but, you know, before we chatted, we talked about how I found out about Black Girl Sunscreen. And many of you would have found out the same way. I call the community the BOS fam, the Black on Shelf family. Many of them would have found out likely during the pandemic and looking for brands to support when we were all disgusted at America and just really wanting to stick together at the time and say, how can we make each other better? What can we do? Here comes great brands that we're all discovering and learning about, and ones that we're like, I actually love all of these, for one.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, that you actually love the products. This is not a charity thing to enjoy brands that are Black or brown. It's not a charity thing. It is more about actually recognizing that they're out there, and some brands may not have always had the dollars to market themselves, but we can take it upon ourselves to better, you know, find them, support them. So I found you during the pandemic and have not looked back since. Proud supporter. One of the things about your story that really, really excites me is how you transition from a number of things into this. And it starts with, did y'all know Shontay has a Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership?
Wait, let me clear
What?
that up. Let me clear that up. So I'm in the middle of it, right?
You're in the middle of it. Tell us.
Yes. So, oh my gosh. And this is not, this is because you don't always know like what you're supposed to do. So you kind of just like go with it, right?
We
And
were literally just talking about this with your niece,
right,
right? Yeah.
right. And you're just kind of going with like the natural steps
Mm-hmm.
of something. So my grandparents were huge advocates of me attending college, as I am the first person to graduate from college from my family.
Wow. First
Yeah,
generation.
first
So you
generation.
did all school. You're like a bachelor's, an MBA, and in the process of doing a doctorate.
Right.
Wow.
So it was kind of like, okay, so you go ahead and get your undergrad, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go get your master's. But even in their mind, it was just kind of like, yeah, a lot of people are getting their master's. So how do you separate and differentiate yourself
Mm-hmm.
from the rest?
Right.
But when you actually look around and start to talk to people, then not that many people have gone to B school, or
Mm-hmm.
there's still quite a handful of people that haven't done undergrad, because the conversation is, do you need to, in order to be successful, do you need to have this piece of paper,
Right.
right? So another conversation, but the natural step in my world of business was to do the doctoral
Mm-hmm.
route, because it was like, okay, well, maybe I'll become a professor.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do consulting, and having the PhD behind your name just gives you further validation.
Definitely. Yeah.
um, but it's a very time consuming, I would say, journey, if you will. Time
Mm-hmm.
consuming, involves a lot of resources, not resources, research,
Yeah.
um, and it's something that will happen for Shantae. I actually chose to go the Black Girl Sunscreen route
So you
first.
want to finish the PhD?
Oh, it will be finished, but
Oh, wow.
my intuition told me that Black Girl Sunscreen had to be done right then and
Now.
there.
Yeah.
Whereas completing my doctorate, universities aren't going anywhere.
It's gone. It can wait. So it's
Right.
funny. It's funny that during that time you had these competing forces, and this happens a lot to entrepreneurs. I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about how I heard this sermon and it was talking about the enemy of vision is a new vision. So I'm curious with, you were completing, you were like matriculating through your PhD program.
Yep.
You had an idea along the way. You can give us that recap for those that have not heard your story. What was going on during that time when you were deciding, I'm going to build this brand, but I'm going to do it on the side while I do my PhD? What was that process? Talk to us a little about that.
So I was working full time.
Oh, on top, what? Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on.
And my
Tell us.
full time, so my full time wasn't 40 hours. My full time was 55 hours, right? In the position that I was
You
in.
guys,
And
I'm looking at Shontay like what? But the Black excellence does not surprise me. It
so
doesn't.
my full time was 55 hours. And then I would take my courses at nighttime
Hmm.
after my job was over. And our group would meet on the weekends because everybody was a working professional.
Gotcha.
And then Black Girl Sunscreen was kind of like when I had a second to jot down my notes or whatever. And when I so originally the idea was birthed here in Los Angeles, but I transitioned back to Miami to
Right.
actually get it started, and that's where our manufacturers are. That's where one of our warehouses is, and I said, okay, I have to. Um, what something has to give, because I truly believe that in order for something to thrive, you can't be pulled in many different directions and give 100%.
Yeah, the focus
Although
has to
some
be
people
there.
really think that, some people really think that, and I get that, but for me, that wasn't the case.
Hmm.
I wanted to give my all.
Yeah.
So I had to choose my livelihood, and that was my 55 plus hour job. And
Hmm.
then Black Girl Sunscreen, which was then able to take me from
Hmm.
that 55-hour, whatever corporate gig that
Yeah.
I was in.
So for those who don't know sort of the sum of your origin story, give us the overview of, you were doing the 55-hour week job, doing some school in the evening, a whole PhD program. What in your life makes you feel like you need to, on the side, here and there, work on sun care?
Because it felt like that's what I was supposed to do.
Mm,
And I do believe that some people have callings,
yeah.
and you may know and understand your calling before your lifetime, or you may not.
Hmm.
Uh, some people's calling is to be a mom.
Yeah.
Some people it's not, right? So at that time when I thought of sunscreen for Black women, for women of color, I had to move because that's what felt right for me.
Yeah. That's really important for those who have this inkling that they're supposed to do something. You had to go with it and you had to make some choices. What word
Hmm.
of advice would you give to the boss fam, whatever stage they may be at, for how to discern? Because you also were able to pay attention to that. I think it's actually hard to say, I'm not going to do this secure thing of a PhD when and there was a lot of accolades that comes with that. I'm going to go with the thing that I'm not even sure about. What advice would you give to the boss fam who is contemplating and trying to discern, is something they're calling? What are some of the signs that came up for you that help you to know that? And how could you help someone identify that for themselves?
I'm big on following my intuition, and that was the first and foremost. And then thinking about the long-term longevity of it all.
Yeah.
Again, like I'll speak on, yes, I'm going to get my PhD, but being in this space and understanding the impact that we've made, within the last 5 years is grander for me than the piece of paper. I feel like I'm getting a real life PhD,
Yeah.
hands-on PhD, by going through what I am going through today
Yeah.
and
You may
building this
not even need it.
building this company. But you know what? I want it.
Hmm.
Because it's
Yeah.
just the next level, and it still requires discipline, ambition, motivation, right? All of
Yeah.
these accolades require a level of determination and resilience.
Yeah.
'Cause there will be challenges. And that's something that I want to say is that there will be challenges, and to know that you have the strength, you have the courage and the confidence to
Hmm.
overcome those challenges, because they're going to be prevalent. You're going to weigh the pros and cons um, out of all of your situations, but clear out the minutia, clear out that noise that
Hmm.
is telling you, no, girl, don't do that. Or, are you sure about that? Yes, you can do this. You got it. Go ahead and pull the trigger.
Yeah. Did you ever have doubts, naming something Black Girl Sunscreen and bringing it to market at a time? This was before the racial reckoning. This was, you were ahead of all that, but, being doing that ahead of that curve where the pride was there, but it was not as celebrated as it definitely is today. Did you have doubts about if that was the right decision for you?
Yeah, so it was definitely before Black Girl Magic,
Yeah.
right? And did I have doubts? No, because I felt so comfortable in my skin and who I was. And this is coming off of a time where I didn't feel comfortable of being a dark skinned
Yeah.
woman and who I was. So understanding that this is the skin I'm in, it's not going anywhere, it's not changing, and then embracing my blackness, it felt really appropriate.
Hmm.
It felt appropriate because the word girl is just a term of endearment. Like, hey girl, how
Yeah.
you doing today?
Yeah.
Only in your peer group though, right? You're
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
calling your mom's friends or your aunt's friends
Right.
girl. You're
Right.
calling someone
To be
that,
clear. Right.
yes, right, right. But when you're in this space and when you're in this culture, you understand that,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
the
And you came off that way. Like we have all felt welcomed because of those terms of endearment. You knew your audience. You definitely knew
yeah,
your audience.
yeah, and the black is, listen, I love who I am. I love being black. And has anyone ever asked you the question, hey, if you had to die and you came back again, would you come back as this? Listen, I'm coming back as a black woman. I'm
Me
good.
too. I mean,
I'm
I'm sure we can find some people that may not, but
yeah,
we coming back as black women. We coming back as black
I'm
women.
coming back. I'm
It's a
coming
no
back as
brainer
black,
for me.
right? For me too. And so that was just a no-brainer for me. Black, and then girl, like black girl. And then I wanted people to understand and know what the product was. It was sunscreen. It was so simple. Black girl sunscreen. There's no confusion. When you go down the aisle, there's no confusion. Yes, this product is for me. It should rub into my skin evenly, leaving no white residue, no white cast, and I'm gonna be good to go. It
Yeah,
was so, I felt like I simplified it.
yeah,
But with that simplified strategy, it brings up the conversation of, well, do you feel like you're being exclusive?
right.
No,
This I knew this was gonna come up, so I'm
right?
curious of what you get. Like, what
We, uh,
conversation?
wow.
Have you had retailers say, "Are you sure about the name? Can you use the BGS instead?"
uh yes, unfortunately. And
Really?
I won't do a deep dive, not the BGS part, but
Mm,
the question is like, why the name Black Girl Sunscreen, and do you feel like you're leaving, certain people out of the conversation? And in reality, um most products on the shelves are
leave
for,
us out all the time.
but not even just race, right? You think of people that have celiac disease, right? And they
Mm,
can't eat gluten. So there's products for people that have special dietary needs, right? There's products for young people, for older people. So what is the difference between having a product for a person of color, right? And
mhm.
that's how I explain it. And then also just thinking about, the longevity of the brand is, we dropped BGS kid
Mhm.
isn't just, for the black girl anymore, but it brings in the
The
family,
family. Now,
right?
did Black Girl Sunscreen come up first and then kids, or did you do it
It
at the same time?
No, it was Black Girl Sunscreen, the
Okay.
SPF 30, and then
Yeah.
BGS Kids, and now Make It Matte.
Yes, which is 45.
Yep, which is 45.
45 SPS. Yeah, SPF. We're going to get into kind of your product choices there. I'm curious around um, in the retail space when Black Lives Matter happened. Is that actually where you really saw extreme growth and more calls? Did you find that was a big milestone or no?
That's a good question. So we launched in Target in 2019.
Mhm.
Um,
I
and it
don't
was
think people
really,
do that.
huh?
I
Yeah.
don't think so. You were on Target.com first, or you were already in some of the retailers?
No, 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 no. So the way it worked for us is, so we didn't go, we were in Target through accelerator. We went in strictly on what we stood for, what
Mm,
our messaging was, and being ready to be on shelves.
yeah.
Um, because Suncare is a seasonal product, it was natural to start on a .com and then transition onto shelves,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
So that's how we did it. It wasn't like, okay, you can only be on .com. We want to give it a try. It was because no, it's a seasonal
Seasonal.
thing, and we're gonna put you on this end cap and see how you do. And we did so well because of all, like, the women that are listening today or will be listening to this podcast that
Hmm.
have supported us to the point they're buying 3 4 tubes at a time and sharing it with whoever they want to share from. I mean, on our .com we get people that buy 50 units full price
Hmm.
because they're going to share it with their whole department,
Yeah.
right? Or they're going to put it in, I don't know, a gift bag or whatever it is. So we've been welcomed with just advocacy and love, and it's been
Hmm.
amazing. So with that, top of the year, before BLM happened and the
Hmm.
pandemic happened,
In
we
2020, right?
2020 we were already
Yes.
um it like on the shelves.
Right.
We were awarded full-time placement, but that was because of what the community had did, right?
Already.
Now
Hmm.
BLM just heightened it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Heightened
More
it.
awareness, everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were already doing our thing prior to that. Did it help? Absolutely. And I think that businesses are seeing, what it's like not to have it this year, right?
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
how are your numbers shaking out compared to last year's numbers?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I come from a space where you're only as good as your last month or your previous year,
And that's
and
super true. Yep.
and you
You got
think,
to stay relevant. You have
yeah.
to keep the visibility. And there was a lot of artificial visibility. Well, it was not artificial for the time, but it was definitely one that might not sweep every year. It won't sweep every
Well,
year.
yeah, you can't duplicate those type of
You
situations,
can't.
right? It's almost like,
Pandemic. We're all staring at the
right,
screens and
right.
can't go anywhere.
Well,
Only visiting your grocery stores and ordering things online. It's a perfect storm.
yeah, and then also too, I would say our lighter skin counterparts were also trying to figure out how to support
Hmm.
Black-owned businesses. And the way
Yeah.
you would support is, you follow, you donate, you purchase.
Yeah.
Um, so that also was a helping factor.
Hmm.
Um, because not only, is Black Girl Sunscreen worn by women of color, our lighter skin counterparts are wearing it as well because the product does what it says it's going to do.
Yeah.
And that's what's really great is that it speaks to all.
It speaks to
Although we are speaking to a targeted market because we've been left out of this conversation for so long, others have picked up on it and it's like, oh yeah, like this works, cool, I could use it, I don't
Yeah.
mind
How do
it.
you feel when you see Caucasian or white person, someone else, not Black girls or Black families? How do you feel?
I have a story.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
So um over Memorial Day weekend,
Hmm.
I went to Vegas. Vegas is like the wild wild west right now.
No masks and all of that.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. But it was like really refreshing because I'm living in California and we've been very conservative with mask and all that. So
Yeah.
people are side eyeing you if you're just walking down the street by yourself without a mask. And you're like, dude, I'm walking by myself. Come on, give me a break. But anyway,
Right.
I choose to go to Vegas for Memorial Day weekend. Okay, and I'm with my girlfriend and um, we're like talking about something or whatever, and I see a family. It's a white family, and they have a black boy with them.
Hmm.
Now we can make up a ton of different scenarios of who this black boy is, right? So my guess was one of two. It's the friend, the little boy's, the son's friend,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And the parents are like, hey, maybe he's an only child, bring a buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. Or they adopted this little boy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He wasn't biracial, he was a little black boy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling my friend, I'm like, oh my goodness. Do you see this family over here? Like, yeah, we see the family. They're practicing sun safety, they're putting on sunscreen. And the mom, she goes to lay down on like a lounge chair, and the boy is like spraying sunscreen on her. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that can't be a friend, because that would be kind of inappropriate. It has to be
Right.
your son,
Yeah.
right? It has to be your son. So I'm telling my friend, I'm like, I'm gonna go over and just, talk to
Talk to
them.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, no. I'm like, I have to. Like, this is why I'm here.
Boss is on
Like, I
duty,
have.
even on vacation. Look at you.
But it was a Friday. It was a Friday Memorial Day, so I had my laptop out. So I was working. Yes, just at the pool,
Yes. Okay.
right? So so anyway, she's like, no, they're vacationing. Don't do it. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to, regardless of what you say. And so I walk up to them, and it's the dad, it's the mom, and it's the
Yeah.
two little boys. And I approach the mom, because you never know.
You
And I
never
was like,
know.
excuse me, I noticed that you and your family, you're practicing sun safety. I'm curious to know if you apply sunscreen to him. I was referring to the little black boy. And she was like, yeah, we do. I was like, oh, okay, great. She was like, we actually use a product called Black Girl Sunscreen.
Stop.
No, I'm not kidding you. I can't make this up.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was like, no way. And the dad's like, no, no, honey. No, no, honey. It's called BGS Kids.
Oh,
That was even better,
yes, he
right? That was even
knows.
better, because we're
Wow.
talking about maybe, an 11-year-old boy,
Yeah.
right? And BTS kids, what is perfect for him. So she's like, yeah, honestly, like, I've been following the brand for a really long time, and I kind of thought that was you, and I saw your laptop, but I was like, nah, that can't be her. She's like, so what do you do for the company? And I'm like, I am
I am
Shontay.
the
She's like,
company.
no. She's like, no way. And it
Wow.
was really random. But what that told me is that Black Girl Sunscreen is doing what we're supposed to be doing. We
Definitely.
are we are sparking wellness. We're sparking togetherness. We're sparking the education of sun safety,
Yeah.
right? So when you ask me, how do I feel when other groups of people are utilizing the product, I am, now it depends, borderline flattered,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but on the other hand, wondering why,
Yeah. The why is important.
right? So flattered, right? Well, for this mom, I understood why.
Yeah.
This is her son. So in my mind, her mind is saying she needs to over educate herself on what are the best things for something that's not like hers. Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Makes sense.
Right?
Yep.
But
Mm-hmm.
what products best for his hair type, best for his skin type, and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. Right? And that's why she had BGS kids. I get that part.
Yeah.
Now for the people that are just like on like TikTok or something, I got Black Girl Sunscreen doing a dance with it. I'm like, okay, but why? Why
Mm-hmm.
the product works, but why do you care to pick it up? And
Mm-hmm.
it's because of the reviews
Right.
and really the trends and the packaging and all these things. But I still don't know if we're to the root of it. How
Yeah.
do I feel about it? Listen, first and foremost, we're here to we've already started the conversation of sun safety within the Black and brown community. It's to continue it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
almost the same thing as like, oh, well, how do you feel about this brand and their marketing and them talking to women of color? Or, hey, this person just launched a SPF SKU. What do you think about that? Listen, the more the merrier. You know why? Because we need everyone to get the reach.
Yeah.
Black Girl Sunscreen, we serve as an option, just an option
Yeah.
for sunscreen. Just like you go down the bread aisle, you can pick
Of
one out of
course.
50 brands. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I to say you can only do this or this person can only wear it? That's how I feel.
Yeah, I
Hopefully,
actually, I
right.
not like you. I love that people are embracing it, and it really is about the why. You don't want it to be a tokenism kind of thing, and there was a lot of that during Black Lives Matter of folks just sort of coming in heavy that year, and are they still here this year, right? And it's fine if they're not here. we see things unfold, but you know that you really do have a solid core, and that's really important. I want to swing around to something that I don't think gets talked about very often. And I'm curious if this still is a core for the brand, but the Pathways to Production philanthropy project that is that is a part of Black Girl Sunscreen. I'm curious when that got introduced, and is that continuing to be core or like something important for the brand?
Absolutely. So prior to the conversation being recorded, we were talking about me being in South Africa,
Yeah.
right? And one of the reasons why I was in South Africa was Pathway to Productions was happening. So it is a program for um, the students or the youth of Soweto,
Mhm.
and they are taught about production, camera works, how to make a show and all these things. So I spoke at the embassy. This was right before the pandemic,
Yeah.
and it's just been on pause because of the pandemic. It
Hmm.
happened virtually in
Wow.
2020.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
it's still strong and heavy. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What drew you to the organization? How are you related to them,
Um,
or how did you find out about them?
yeah, I have some close people that are the head of the organization. So it just
Nice.
makes sense that Black Girl Sunscreen, we've sponsored and been a huge part of what they do, and we advocate for just young people aspiring to do better and understanding that there's a whole big world out here,
Yeah.
right? And I think of myself when I think of just wanting to do more and to do bigger, and
Yeah.
that's what Pathway to Productions does.
Good. I love that. So, we talked earlier about you having like being on the in the having been in the process of a PhD in organization leadership. While that's still pending, I still saw that you're interested in organization leadership. One special thing about Black Girl Sunscreen is the fact that you have grown a whole team, in a few short years. And I'm curious on what was that experience like, sort of building, what are some of the pain points that folks can listen to and sort of get a sense of what they could anticipate when their brands and companies grow. Talk us through some of the milestones when it comes to you hiring your first person, building an organization, creating some sort of like mission that other people can be connected to beyond you. Tell us what some of those pieces that really were a part of that for Black Girl Sunscreen.
The first thing I will say, it's hard.
Yeah.
So my first level of employees came from the folks that I knew, that I saw a drive within them, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, maybe from a previous company, I'm like, I loved the way she worked. She took direction well. I see a lot of potential in this person. Are they willing to make the transition? And if they trusted me in that organization, can they trust me now? Because leaving a big company to work at a small company, there's a lot of question marks there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So first, being able to build the trust in someone for them to even coming into your organization as a startup is a huge deal, because their livelihood is
Yeah.
on is on the line.
That is
Um,
a true risk, right?
Yeah, and no, it is, and people think about that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it could be something so small as like, okay, what if your company doesn't offer benefits? Then how
Mm-hmm.
do they have health insurance? Black Girl Sunscreen, we do offer benefits,
Yeah.
so it's not something that we had to worry about, but we didn't always offer health insurance.
Right.
We
So the
do.
first set of people really had to just be willing to see the
To,
vision and
yep.
and just be a part of it with you until these benefits can come to the table for them.
Right, right. And that was important for me because that was really the foundation. They're here for the long run, and they saw it happen before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Saw Black Girl Sunscreen kind of, in this little black tube with no label. It's just
Right.
like, yeah, I have this idea, like, what do you think about it? And they're like, yeah, 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 yeah. Like, all for it.
Mm-hmm.
So those were my first hires. And then the next round of hires came from, job boards and postings,
Mm-hmm.
and even referrals. I
Yeah.
think the biggest piece of flattery for a company is when somebody that works in your organization is willing to tell their friends and family, about the organization, or hey, there's an open position here, I think you should put your name in the hat, or hey, there's an internship here, put your name in the hat.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means that they thoroughly enjoy what they do, and they enjoy the environment, and they feel like it's a safe space.
Yeah. What surprised you the most about bringing in other people and kind of seeing, when it's just you, it's one thing, but as you bring other people on, like 5, 10, it starts to take a little bit of a different shape sometimes. What surprised you the most about that evolution for you, even as a leader, and then secondarily for the organization itself, for the company, Black Girl Sunscreen?
How many pet peeves I have?
What are some? I'm curious about this. What's some of your pet peeves? And be honest, because we might just ask somebody. We might ask somebody.
So I know that I have this thing called I believe it's pronounced misophonia, and that's
What is
when
that?
yeah, so like when you have just a hard time hearing people chew and breathe. No, I'm so
Oh my
serious.
gosh.
Yeah, I know, I know,
Wait,
I
do
know.
you have siblings? Because you probably already knew this.
Yeah, I did know this, but I didn't know that it was actually like a disorder.
Right.
So sometimes like and it's so harmless. Like so Black Girl Sunscreen, we offer lunch every day, right? It's one
Yeah.
of the
That's an amazing
benefits here.
perk.
But there's a couple of things. So I rarely eat in the break room
Hmm.
because I'm hearing someone that is innocently just chewing, but I hear smacking, right? So the sounds are exaggerated, right? And that's just this is silly stuff, right?
Love
But
it.
the real stuff is I think that the people management, the people part of it is probably one of the hardest in any organization. And what I'm finding now is the generation that's coming up. There's a lot of I would say things that you have to be aware of,
Mm.
mental health issues, the work life balance, because people have been home for so long. It's kind of like everyone has gotten acclimated to working from a screen and
Yeah.
not wanting to get up and get dressed and drive in their car, fight the traffic to then get to work. So how do you accommodate this workforce that is very new and green?
Yeah. What are some of the things you're doing as a part of that before you move on and share more? What are some of the things you are doing to re-engage your team?
Yeah, so not so my team is pretty engaged.
Mhm.
We I wouldn't say I had to like re-engage anyone, because everyone has been really excited to be on the
Yeah.
journey of Black Girl Sunscreen, just because of like what we stand for.
Yeah.
But we have a very progressive environment in terms of we work 3 days on, 2 days off.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm,
So I was
okay.
saying that we have a pretty progressive work environment. So 3 days in the building, 2 days out of the building. That doesn't
Wow.
mean you're off work. That just means that you can work from wherever you need to work. As I believe that, in order to get a task done, it doesn't have to be within the building. We also do team building activities monthly, as well as have incentives,
Mm.
um, monetary incentives. And then in terms of like our workspace, no one has like a dedicated cubicle or dedicated office. You can work next to whoever you work to. You can work in whatever room you want to. So those are just some of the things that we do on a day to day that's ingrained in our culture,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That will hopefully keep people um, wanting to come here. But more importantly, we are very intentional and strategic on who we bring here, because what I'm concerned about is your passion. So
Yeah.
if we're bringing you in to do, I don't know, photography, let's just say, hopefully you are very passionate on the images that you're captioning, and you're now bringing that passion within to the Black Girl Sunscreen organization. So you are only going to flourish and thrive within
Mm-hmm.
four walls, or whatever you're wherever you are, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the most important thing, is to first and foremost bring in people that align with your vision, and love what they are already doing before they get into the role.
Yeah. What type of support did you have within your family for the process, to build Black Girl Sunscreen?
That's a good question. Because I haven't been asked that before. I didn't have so much support.
Mm.
Not that it's a bad thing. I think that people don't understand what you're doing until it's like quote unquote big in their eyes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, what's big to you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, is a commercial big? Is a billboard big? Is being in a store big? What's big? Because everyone's measurements are just so different, and not everybody really understands of what the or respects what a process is. They just want
Mm-hmm.
to see the end result.
Yeah.
So
That can be tough.
yeah, so in terms of a family, I mean, I've had some of my family members come to expos with me, right?
Nice. They could
And
really see the impact with people coming
yeah,
to the table.
coming
Yeah.
to the table and understanding like what it takes to break down, a booth or set up a booth or stand on
Mm-hmm.
your feet for 10 12 hours and have cotton mouth because you've been talking and talking and talking. Yeah, so it just depends on like who the person was, but all good stuff. But I think that people don't really understand until it's almost like, oh yeah, okay, we see you now.
I mean,
That's when they start talking about you.
yeah, that's when. So during that time, who might you say were some of your mentors or circles? Were there other entrepreneurs that you were connected with? How did you stay, focused and encouraged? Because it is a tough process to kind of have that grit and resilience during that process where it's like not yet done, but you still super believe in it, and you just need to get to this point for more people to believe. Who was in your circle?
So I'm pretty introverted. I'm a
Yeah.
social introvert. That's how I like to describe myself. So when I need to be on, I'm on. But then when it's time for me to wind down, I just want to be by myself, and I can be by myself for days.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning of the process, I really just counted on my own self, my own tenacity, my own just determination, and my own positive self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles, and I found communities that offered other females that were on the same path as I was.
Mm.
And still to this day, I only have like two or three friends that are close to me. And then
Yeah.
I feel comfortable sharing whatever I'm going through with, and I understand it. So, unfortunately, I haven't had a formal mentor where
Mhm.
I'm like, hey, I need to understand this, or what do you think about that? But I do have peers that, I
Mhm.
mean, we could shoot the shit, all
Mhm.
day, every day, cackle and do whatever we do, talk business, yeah, chop it up.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has been a huge outlet and support for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, one other thing is, you definitely ramped up. You've had you're in a growth spurt. It seems like every month there's something new happening. There's more people learning about the brand, loving it, and continue to buy. That is taxing, right? That's taxing on you as a leader. So you're making sure the business is all together. You're kind of carrying that burden, and then keeping strong, but then you might also actually be tired. What do you do? What does Shontay do for herself? You know, and then another, like a millennial question, like, are you able to date and live a normal, or is the baby, is the boo, the business right now? What is, curious about those two things.
The second thing you said. So, most people will say it's unhealthy, right, to
Mm,
be so consumed into your business, and you need to have an identity besides it. But when you are trying to be a global brand, and for me, this is what I know. I know nothing but to go hard, as hard as I possibly can to get where I'm going. And because that's what I know, that's what I'm going to do. Uh, so is there time to date someone? There's not even time for Shantae, right? Let alone someone else. I also have three dogs.
I
Uh,
saw you are a dog mom.
I have three dogs, and I feel sometimes horrible for them because I'm not able to give them, I think, the attention that they need.
Yeah.
So, for anyone that's like just in the position of really growing, like you're 3, 4, 5, and committed to it, this is a very crucial time.
Yeah, it is. So I mean, I guess you're thinking like continuing to grow and focusing here. There'll be a day where you're going to be able to sit back a little bit and say, "All right, let me focus a little bit more on my life, and those things will be there and it'll happen exactly when it should. That's how you're thinking?
Um, yeah, I think that I was put here to do this,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm gonna do right now
Mm-hmm.
until I get exhausted and I can't. And when I can't
This is
anymore,
your
I'll
call.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll know, and that will feel, it will feel natural for me to transition out.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
you had something really big happen recently, being featured in a Target commercial,
Oh.
reaching millions of people. Talk to us about that experience and how that ended up happening.
um, so the experience was magical. I don't know if you've been on set before or been like talent, but yeah. So the nitty gritty of it was, hey, do you want to be in this commercial? And you need to answer within 24 hours.
Oh,
And my response was, when is it? My
right.
response was, it's during this week. And I'm like, I can't. They're
Oh.
going to be in town.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually wasn't going to change my plans for that because it was like less than 24 hours, right? And so they were like, okay, when are you going to come back? All this stuff, right? And I was like, well, I'd love to do it, but if we can do it on this day, that would be very helpful. They're like, okay, done. We really want you to participate. Okay, cool. So I go away, and I actually went to Brazil.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's
Flew in from
awesome.
Brazil. So I had like this like big like curly hair. 'Cause you know you're in Brazil, you want to, you know.
Yes, do it up.
So I had this big curly hair, fly back in, have my stylist come take it out, put in like some conservative straight hair. Because I didn't know what I was in store for either, right?
Yeah.
I see the call sheet. The call sheet has like 150 people on it. Do you know
Mhm.
what a call sheet is? A call sheet is
Yeah.
just,
The
okay,
rundown of the
yeah, and everybody that's participating.
hmm
And what stood out the most to me is, first of all, the caliber of individuals that they had participating in this commercial, in
Mm,
terms of like the director, the DP, the stylist, the choreographer,
hmm
all these things. They had 10 COVID police enforcers.
Oh,
They weren't called police, but and what they were there to do is to ensure that everyone had their mask on
right.
100% of the time. So anyway, my hair got done at probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. My call time for them was like 7 a.m. So they
Mhm.
sent the black car um on my home to my
Okay,
hotel.
okay, that's a moment too, though. That's
Yeah,
a
all of
vibe. They're
it.
like, send the black car.
This is what I'm telling you. This is
Yes.
what I'm telling you. So we also had one of our we had a sales executive from Black Girl Sunscreen. I had her accompany me, so they sent her the black card too, and so she was already there waiting for me.
Okay, Target. We
Uh-huh.
love it.
And we pulled up, and the director runs out, and he's like, "Hi, Shontay, I'm so excited to meet you. It's gonna be a great day. We're gonna vibe out and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." They're like, "We're gonna hair and makeup," and they start asking me all these questions. I'm like, "I'd like to see the set."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Talent wants to see the set. Production talent wants to see the set." And they're like, it's not done. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't decide what dress I want to wear because I don't know what it looks like. They're like, but
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I'm like, can I just please see it? So they take me up to the 18th floor of this building. We're downtown Los Angeles.
Mm,
And when I tell you, the set was absolutely amazing. It was a
mm.
replica of Black Girl Sunscreen, but 10 times of what we can do just because we don't have a Target budget, right?
Right. You're
But
like,
when
can we
I
make
tell
this the office?
Yeah, but when I tell you they nailed it all, just from our natural colors in our office to the plants that we have, to the modern furniture, to the gold accents,
Yeah.
to even our logos being on the wall. And when I turned around to like go back down the shaft, I cried. I cried to my sales executive, and she says, "Oh, so you've only cried twice." So she made me cry one time during a presentation that she did,
Uh-huh.
and then Target made me cry because I
Mm,
felt so overwhelmed with um, the recognition and for someone to do something for us this time, right? Because I honestly feel like Black Girl Sunscreen, we do a lot, especially for like our team. We just do a lot, and it just felt really nice for this partner to do that for
And to
us.
nail it to the point that you were like, there's nothing I could even pick this apart about. This is like, you
It was
felt like it was perfect.
gorgeous. It was
Yeah.
gorgeous, gorgeous.
Mhm. And you showed up looking amazing yourself.
Well, so even that is a process, right? Because you have, someone that has never done your makeup before, and I have a
Mhm.
makeup artist that does my makeup all the time. So having someone different do my makeup, he did a great job. And then, we had a conversation about hair. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so what are we gonna do? And she was like, what, I'll just do some simple waves for you. And she made it look pretty. And then it was back and forth on wardrobe. Do I wear yellow? Do I wear white? I'm like, okay, I'd like to wear this white, even though yellow is on brand, but white is
Right.
really pretty too.
Mhm.
So then it's time to shoot. So I'm the only person for talent. There's 100 people on set. Okay.
Looking at you.
Right. And they're like, okay, Shontay, let's go. And I'm like, I haven't seen myself in the mirror yet. They're like, come on, Shontay, we've already ordered a mirror for you. They've gone to get it at Target. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do this
They're
one.
like, Shontay is little diva over here.
Just a little bit because it was
Diva
weird.
moment.
Who goes places and doesn't see themselves fully?
I know there was no mirror on set. That is a little, but they
Was
got you one.
They did. So I get on there and they're like, okay, rub the sunscreen on your arm. I'm like, but how? Like, so the point of this is that all of the actions that you saw me do were me
Yeah.
being me. So it wasn't direction on like, hey, touch your hair or smile like this or make that face, or it was Shontay being Shontay, and that's what they wanted to show.
Yeah.
And
Authenticity.
yeah, so we shot for 8 hours,
Oh,
and
wow.
you saw 4 seconds of
I
Shontay.
know, right? Because the eight
Yeah,
hours.
you
More to
didn't get
come,
to
I guess.
you didn't get to see this beautiful set that they made,
Oh,
and also the cool content that they have. So I talked about a choreographer being on set, and it ended up being Lady Gaga's choreographer.
oh my
And
gosh. You're right. The talent was up there.
yeah, it was up there, yeah. And
Hmm.
then so like even for that segment, they built like this forest around me, and they're like, move to the beat. I'm like, okay. So I'm like moving to the beat, and they're like, hey, this is so and so, he's gonna teach you some body movement.
Oh,
I'm like, body movement?
you're
Like, I
dancing.
love how yes, exactly.
They got you to dance.
I'm like, body movement. I love how people try to sugarcoat things, but y'all want me to dance? Is that that's what you're saying?
Right.
And he's like, no, let me just show you. And I'll be honest, I'm so happy this person was there,
Hmm.
because there wasn't too many people of color on set. So that was the only like, you know, thing that I wish were a little bit different, especially if
Hmm.
you're shooting, a black brand.
Yeah.
But he helped me because it was like, okay, like even walking through the set, how do you want me to show, um, I don't know, the ultimate confidence, or
Hmm.
like through your eyes or through your gaze, right? Like I
Hmm.
haven't been in acting classes, so I don't necessarily know what that facial expression means, and how does Shantae exemplify that? So it was just comforting to have him there. And the only thing that like was divish for Shantae was I requested like 4 Red Bulls, because at the time like 2 p.m. I was like starting to go down, and I don't drink
Fading.
coffee.
Hmm.
Yeah, they got me some Red Bulls, but I mean, it's a day that I won't forget. And when I tell you the commercial, I think they turned it around in like 2 days.
Wow.
And yeah, and then I have a partnership with a radio outlet, and the women that oversee the account. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! We just saw you on This Is It finale. I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't watch TV that much.
Oh my
Like, oh,
gosh.
this is a popular TV show,
Yes.
and we saw you. I'm like, but I haven't seen it. And they recorded it and they sent it to me.
Wow.
And so I saw it and I'm like, oh, okay. 6 seconds, 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And because the thing is with editing, like you never know how it's gonna come out, especially if
Hmm.
you're not involved in the editing portion of it. And that's when it just started cycling. And I mean, it's literally on every network.
It's
Uh,
everywhere.
yeah, it is everywhere. And I feel so honored. And, you asked me, how does this come about? I believe, excuse me, I believe that Black Girl Sunscreen, we do a nice job at what we're doing.
Excellent job.
Yeah. And I think it was appropriate, as I mentioned, that what we're sparking is togetherness, right?
Hmm.
In that commercial, you see women jogging, right?
Yeah.
That's promoting wellness. You see a little girl doing yoga, also promoting wellness. You see a family having a picnic outside, togetherness. But Black Girl Sunscreen is the only brand in the commercial, so we
Hmm.
are orchestrating this together in this wellness. So
Yeah.
that's what I think the commercial
And
is about.
pride, the underlying for me, one of the things, it makes me smile. And as a consumer being connected to the brand, I have so much pride seeing, your brand there, and the fact that we are able to be there. What happened when you watched it on, like, you're watching I don't know how much you get to watch
I haven't
anything. You haven't seen it.
No,
We
because
gonna see it for you. We've been
I don't
seeing it for you.
yeah, I don't watch the TV that often, and when I do, it's like reruns of Law and Order. So
Hmm.
it hasn't shown on the commercial, and I skipped through the commercial anyway.
Right. It's
Um,
shows through like streaming platforms, everything. So
I
you're
know,
definitely getting your reach. You're
I
definitely
know,
getting visibility.
I know. My one friend said she's seen it like 6 times already. She's seen it
Oh,
on
it's
Hallmark,
airing.
uh, Nickelodeon, ABC, and one of my girlfriends from high school, and then we went to college together as well. And I didn't tell her about the commercial.
Oh,
She's like, and excuse my language, WTF? Holy shit! I just saw you on TV. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, come on, I know it was you. And I was like, and I just start laughing. She was just like, good for you.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm not telling people like, oh, I'm in this Target commercial. Like, if you see it, you see it. And then it's interesting to see like who actually recognizes me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and who pays attention to commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you actually watch this commercial. I don't know if I pay attention to commercials, but listen, we were honored. My team was excited, ecstatic. We did a press release and
Yeah.
sent it to our
I mean,
major
it's a big
partners.
deal, right? It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah, because not that many, we're talking about Black owned brands have this opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How is it to work with Target as a retailer? And I know you kind of have a unique experience in that you're in a commercial, you're on the shelf. Like, this is probably a unique partnership. I hope it's not the last. I hope it's actually ushering in many more types of partnerships like this. But on your end, what is that experience like?
So there's different levels to it. I would say that it is not to be taken for granted,
Mm-hmm.
and know that some of it will be a learning experience and it will force you to level up. So if
Yeah.
you're coming in as a small business to maybe your first retailer, it's a great partner to start with. As I think Target is known to be a brand builder, if you will. And they have curated a space for consumers to look for Black owned brands or brands that speak to particular demographics, whether you're
Yeah.
Black, Latino, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really cool, but you got to have your ducks in a row. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so from the nitty gritty part of it, just supply chain, right? Having that stuff in line, right? But then
Yeah.
also understanding, who your demographic and who your marketing is, because retailers, and this is not just a Target thing, this is retailers, you're still expected to market your brand
Right.
and drive consumers to that store.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you balance your e-commerce and customers going to wherever, right? So there's still a lot that you have to do, not just because we're on a Target shelf it sells. No, 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 no. We say like available at Target, or we show videos of our consumers shopping at Target. So there's different things that it's really a true partnership. It's not just one-sided, and your product is not just going to thrive because now you're on the shelves of
Yeah. You
Target.
have to support it now on the shelf. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
For
So I would say
people don't
that
know that, like, there's I think people don't think about it, but when you do it, it makes sense. There's limited space on the shelf. There's only, it's a certain size. There's limited space. You have to earn that space, and then you have to keep it. It kind of, it is a competition to stay there, and consumer interest will help it stay there. So that's why I say it's not a charity thing for you to support Black brands, because Ashante wants consumers that are about it and that will sustain. Like, you love this. This is a part of your normal repertoire, because that's what keeps you on the Target shelf and expanding to other ones. It's not about buying it once. Like, that's great, try it. But you're actually looking for the people that are looking for Suncare all the time.
Yeah, repeat and retaining customers is important. It's imperative to have a growing brand and to have a brand that is going to stay in major distribution. So the partnership with Target has been phenomenal over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
No
And
complaints.
it's been cool because I see that you're also in Ulta and some, and other retailers, but that's another big one that is a special one to be in. Suncare, reaching more people, creating more accessibility across the country. Ulta is more of a new one. Talk to us about how that happened, and what you're expecting out of Ulta. Like, who do you think will be going there?
Beauty lovers.
Yes.
Beauty lovers that want to experience both drug and prestige, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what Ulta is.
Yeah.
You can find your CoverGirl or you can find your Shishido. And I think that Ulta was a really good place for us to go next. In terms of our price point, Ulta's, demographic, and we've done very well there. And we
Yeah.
were excited for the partnership, as it's a different sector for us.
Yeah.
So Target is mass, and then Ulta is beauty.
Yeah.
So that happened. You asked me earlier, did we have a lot of retailers contact us because of the BLM movement? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But not all of them followed through, and we
Oh.
also didn't want to follow. We also didn't want to partner with all of them,
Mm-hmm.
because it's also part of the strategy too, right? I don't think you have to run before you're crawling, you're walking, right? So when I say that, understanding your supply chain,
Mm-hmm.
understanding how long it takes for production, I think it's very important before you're saying like, hey, I can be in five retail stores that are going to put me in 10,000 doors, but you're not able to produce,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, it's not as simple as just saying be
yeah.
it everywhere. There's the logistics behind how do you do that. It's the sourcing, all of these things. Where did you learn any of this from?
Um, well, I was in corporate America, and they gave us the autonomy to like run our own business. But to be honest, like I'm learning as I go right
Mm-hmm.
now, and listening. And
You need to say
like,
that again. She's learning as she goes. That's okay. I think people
yeah.
may look at this brand that's growing and think you have to know it all. You have to have someone on your team that knows everything, but you can also learn as you go.
Oh, 100%. And so listening, learning as I go, and then the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't make the same mistake twice.
Right.
Uh, and there will be mistakes, but how do you handle those mistakes? I mean, there's only been like one mistake where I literally cried on the floor, but I had to get back up because I had a meeting maybe like 2 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about, again, being that punching bag, being punched, and then springing right back up
Mm-hmm.
in the space of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that business has to be war, right?
Mm-hmm.
There will be some tough conversations, whether it's negotiations or even a conversation with an employee, but that doesn't mean that the world is going to end. Like you have this like now beef. No, no, no. This was just a conversation and we're going to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
So I am learning, but I feel like I have it in me too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where it's,
You're built for this.
yeah. But then I was like listening to a lot of podcasts and jumping into different, panels and just listening to different experiences.
Mm.
And I do what I feel is right and what is smart.
Yeah. So in terms of scaling, what did the investment look like, and not in terms of specific numbers per se, but that process of how do you actually go from you're selling just on your e-commerce site one day, then you're expanding into this retailer and that retailer. How did you think about the decisions of who to partner with to grow, and that investment piece and the partnership piece in order to, fund the retail growth and distribution. What has
Yeah.
that been like for you?
It's been interesting because you'll be surprised at who you think is going to support you doesn't.
Mm. So you
Yeah.
have to be really open in the investment process. What rounds or
Well,
where are you?
I will let you read in between the lines on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so what we really look for is someone that is um, willing to that understands what we're doing, and we're talking about financial
Mm-hmm.
partners, right? So they understand what we're doing, and they understand that this isn't for the mass,
Yeah.
right? Because most investors, they want something that is going to reach everyone. But the investor that we want, or someone that wants to, do business with us, gets that we're not for the mass, right? Understands, okay, yes, this is a underserved community that's been ignored, right? And wants to see a growing team grow and win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that process is um some days challenging, some days really rewarding,
Yeah.
some days stressful, some days very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but this is also a process that helps you level up, right? Just
You've
understanding,
been you've been saying that a lot, You've been saying that a lot.
just understanding terminology and how things work, how valuations work, um, and being spoke about in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big responsibility to have to understand that and to do some of your own learning, or to find the people that can teach you, so that you come to the table aware and knowledgeable, and decisions aren't made where you're like, I just did it because I didn't know better or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, when I say being spoke about in that way, and raising capital, I think of like even publications seeing you or talking about you as an innovator,
Mm-hmm.
or an industry leader,
Yeah,
and that's what's cool about, not cool, but it's nice.
it's nice.
It's
What would
nice with
mm-hmm.
position.
It is. And I did read between the lines there, and I hope the boss fam did too. And I kind of not surprised. Sometimes you're too close to the situation to know that there's an opportunity, that there's even beyond an opportunity, there's also the vision, right? I think it goes hand in hand most times, but someone has to see the opportunity. And if, and then you also want them to see like what it could be, what it is now, because you have proof in the show, what it is right now. And also, where are we all going with this? I think what's so interesting is you're coming at a time where I think a lot of Black women that follow Black Girl Sunscreen recognize that sunscreen for us is not seasonal anymore either. We're using it as a primer. We're saying anti-aging. We're recognizing the other benefits and saying we know better. You know, we have a lot of reinforcement. I'm seeing dermatologists, Black dermatologists, even saying, "Oh yeah, guys, like this is something we should all be wearing." I think probably the next frontier, and I don't know how your team feels about this or what your perspective is I think it's really getting some men to take more of that personal care with sunscreen. But because I think within my friend group alone, we're sunscreen lovers. We love Black Girl Sunscreen. We're taking care of our skin. We're glossing it up. We love looking fresh, and we love being protected. I think it's about getting the men in our community to also take care in the same way. What are you seeing from a trend standpoint?
Men are still washing their face with damn bar soap. So some, okay, I'm being funny. No, seriously, some are still though. I'm being yes.
Some are okay.
Okay, but when they have women around them that are saying, okay, hey, use this cleanser, and stop going to bed without washing your face. You
Mm-hmm.
got to do something. Whether it's a wipe, you got to do
I
something.
ain't
Okay,
gonna tell him, my man. I won't tell my boyfriend. I won't.
can you wash the day off your damn face, please? Because you getting it all on the pillows and everything. Like, come on, this is crazy. Um, I still think that the men skincare industry, oof, there's a long way to go.
There is a
But I
long way
will
to
tell
go.
you that men, there are a nice amount of men that love Black Girl Sunscreen.
Mm-hmm.
and they are using it whether they're a mailman or they do construction or
Mm-hmm.
they do makeup and they're just like, I'm using it as my primer.
Yeah.
Or you know what, I run track or I do this, and
Mm.
they're understanding the importance of it. And I love, it's great to see, it's great to
Yeah.
see.
It's really great to see. You know, now, we've heard a lot about your story. I'm curious, you just launched Make It Matte. How did you know this was the right time um, to bring that? Because that's your new news right now. New
Yeah, that's
packaging, beautiful new packaging.
Yeah, Make It Matte is just a very different formula than our OG Black Girl Sunscreen 30 because it's
Mm-hmm.
mattifying.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the feedback that we were getting from Black Girl Sunscreen was that it left too much of a glow. And we heard that loud and clear, and we understand that everybody has different skin. So let's not, our, again, like our mission and vision is really to get this in front of all Black and brown folks, and offer as many different products as possible. It
Mm-hmm.
just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So it could be from the consistency of the product, whether it's a gel form, a lotion form, to the application of the product, and that, maybe spray, roll on, whatever. Yes, Make It Matte is our newest boo boo.
Yes.
We're all excited for her, but it was definitely long overdue. And it's because we're still a growing company.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, but we're staying true to our core competencies, and that means that we'll be in the SPF game,
Mm-hmm.
and until this thing is over.
Yeah, that really helps us transition to one of my last questions. We're wrapping up soon, but I'm curious, when you envision 5, 10 years from now, because now you're almost 5 years into having built this brand, which is insane. Is it
Yeah,
what you expected? Is it more?
no,
What is your
I didn't
take?
think about it.
Yeah, you just were
No,
trying to get to the next year.
yeah. So we started off with one SKU,
Yeah,
and
now you're
did
at three.
have. Now we have three. Because it does take time to develop a formula, and it has to go through testings and lots of samples. So
And
this
money as you grow more, like costs
exactly
money. Yeah.
exactly. Black Girl Sunscreen started off with my own investments.
Hmm.
So we didn't get funding until last year.
Wow.
Um, so we were already in year four, three and a half, four. So it did take some time. Um, but our goal is to become a global brand.
Hmm.
And when I say global, I mean everywhere.
Yeah. I'm
Not
from the Bahamas and I've seen people, I don't know if they're getting it from the US or so, but I've seen some friends back home in the Bahamas using Black Girl Sunscreen. And it just speaks to the pride that people have. Black women want to use it. And so they're going to find it. Yeah.
So my family is Bahamian as well, and
Wait, your family?
mhm,
Hold up. We're family basically. Oh my gosh. That's
yeah,
amazing. Which island?
Atkins.
Acklands?
Hmm.
Me too. What's your Bahamian last name? Like, what's your family last name?
Ferguson.
Stop it! Did I know this? Did,
No, I never said it before.
okay, I'm so excited now. I'm basically gonna tell people we're family because basically, have you been? Have you been to the
No,
Bahamas?
no. So here's
I
the thing.
gotta take you when you come. Basically,
I can go. I used to live in South Florida in Miami, but I never
yeah,
wanted to go anywhere close like Jamaica, Bahamas, Haiti because it was so darn close to
yes,
South Florida. And I was like, I always wanted to go somewhere far.
somewhere far
And yeah, now I'm in California, and tickets to the damn Bahamas are like $1,000 right now.
from
So,
California.
so,
Definitely visit one day. We would be happy to have you.
so
It's
we
home.
it is. So we do have a specialty retailer in the Bahamas, I believe, and that's how you're seeing the product there.
Yeah, I
So,
love it.
but yeah, most people do think I am from the islands. They would probably guess Haitian, because the last name Lundy. My last name is
Hmm.
Lundy,
Hmm.
but I'm actually Bahamian.
That's amazing. So, which parent?
My mother and her
Really?
mother.
Wow. So when did your family come to the US?
Oh, in the 30s, 40s.
Okay. But I love that you actually know your like where you guys came from.
Some lineage.
That's still the lineage is very much still alive. I didn't know that.
I
I
didn't
did not know you were Bahamian. I'm freaking out right now.
I don't talk about it much.
Why? We love you there.
Well, because you know I grew up in an American culture,
You're
so
still Bahamian. Nobody can take that from you.
of course not, of course
Yeah.
not. It's, you know, you said it, so I said it.
Yes.
But if somebody asks me, I will tell them that I'm Black American.
Mhm.
You know, it is what it is. But at the same time, like, yeah, I'm Bahamian too. You know?
Yes.
But
Yes.
if I were to go to Bahamas, they looking at me like, no, you're not Yankee.
No. We welcome people. So you might not talk like us, but we do like love that when people know that they're from the Bahamas and they try to connect with that or just are proud of it too. That is special. Yeah, I did grow up in the Bahamas until I was 17. My family's still there. So I love to see Bahamian Americans thrive when they do come here. There's, it's an island. So we understand people move on, they get married or, go for school or other opportunities. But we love to see like when they're successful because it's like a thing in the water. Bahamians go abroad and do amazing things.
Yeah, but you know, again, the 30s is a long time ago.
It was. It certainly was.
Yeah.
So before I started freaking out, I was asking you about what is the next 5 or 10 years of Black Girl Sunscreen look like if you've gotten a chance to think of that.
No, I was just saying that it's just to become a global brand.
A global brand. So I know before the pandemic, you were in South Africa. Were you able to get product there, or you have to kind of restart some of those conversations now that the pandemic is over?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were on extreme lockdown.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're definitely rooting for you. I see it as a global brand. There are people of color all over the world who are not being spoken to in the way that Black Girl Sunscreen does. I usually end the podcast with being able to ask, and we covered some of it, but I am curious for you, what does it mean for you to be Black on shelf? You talked to us about, being first generation. Now I know you're Bahamian American. There's a lot of heritage there. There's a lot to be proud of. What does it mean for you to be Black on shelf and to know that you're going to be a global brand? We're speaking it into existence here.
It just means that we're serving inspiration and motivation for everyone that aspires to be a Black brand on a retail shelf. And I will say that when I started Black Girl Sunscreen, I said, hey, we're not going to be in the ethnic section because then it was still the ethnic section. We're going to be where we are supposed to be, and that's in the sunscreen aisle.
Yeah.
So to be a Black brand, a Black indie brand within a very, very white space means and exudes inspiration and motivation, and then it can be done.
Yeah. I think you said it all. This was a really great conversation.